One of my favorite film subgenres is the coming-of-age story, especially when it's done well. And this one is done well. Let's talk about Didi. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my spoiler-free review for the new film Didi. This had a limited run in theaters a few months ago, but now it is available on Peacock, and I'm so happy for that because it never came to my area. I don't usually watch trailers, but I happened to catch this one before one of the movies I saw over the summer, and I thought, wow, this looks, right up my alley, and then it never came around. So I'm glad to see this come so quickly to Peacock, and you all can check it out there as well. And this is a semi-autobiographical film as well. We'll get into the reasons why here in just a second. But first, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are one of my subscribers already, thank you so much for that. Always love having you guys return to Dan Reviews It. But if you're not one of my subscribers, please consider clicking that subscribe button, the notification bell. Just liking this video and commenting helps as well. So if you could do any of those things, I would certainly appreciate it. So this is the directorial debut for Sean Wang. He wrote this, he directed it, and he produced it. And this is more or less about his upbringing and some of his feelings as a kid, about his family, about his heritage. So this takes place in the summer of 2008, and Chris Wang, who also goes by Didi sometimes, is a 13-year-old. And he's played here by Isaac Wang, no relation to Sean Wang, the director, but he plays Chris Wang. And then Joan Chen plays the mother, Chung Sing. And I did not recognize her. I thought maybe I'd seen her in something. I have not seen this movie, but her most famous role is probably in The Last Emperor, which won a slew of Academy Awards in the 80s. But she also had a part in Twin Peaks, which I never watched. Isaac Wang was in Good Boys briefly, a very, very funny movie about, similar, coming of age kind of thing. But he also did a voice for Raya and the Last Dragon for Disney. So, but this is his first, starring role. He just had kind of a bit part in Good Boys. But he lives in a middle-class neighborhood in California with a whole host of women. His older sister, who's about to go to college, his mother, his grandmother, and all of them, at least the elders, are Taiwanese immigrants, and that gives Chris, Didi, whatever, some pause in his own life, because he wants to fit in so badly with the other kids in school. And I certainly have experienced that through friends of my own. One of my dear friends growing up, I met him in third grade, was first generation Filipino American. And I think he did actually, feel some of the things that we see in this movie, that Didi feels about his heritage. But it's so much more than that, because he is a 13-year-old boy, and it's the sort of advent of social media. MySpace plays heavily into this movie, the start of Facebook, shooting videos on your phone, is a part of this movie because he wants to kind of get in with these skater kids. So he lies to them and tells them that, oh yeah, I'm really, a good skate photographer and a videographer and all of this. And so it's the advent of all of that kind of stuff, which I think makes this a little bit unique in the coming of age space, because of course we have, like the classics of the genre, the John Hughes stuff from the 80s. And, as we move into, the 90s, we have things like Superbad on the, much more comedic side. But in recent years, there's been a lot of really, really good dramas tackling the coming of age stuff, especially in the young teen era. There was a great movie a few years ago called Eighth Grade that I would recommend as well. That is from the female perspective. But Lady Bird, obviously a little bit older of a child. That was Saoirse Ronan, but that was an excellent movie. Edge of 17 with Haley Steinfeld. So there's been a lot in the last few years in this genre that are really, really good. There's been, a few less than stellar ones as well. But let's focus on the positives here. So look, this movie is unique, though, like I mentioned, in the aspect of the time period. This is obviously what the writer and director Sean Wang sort of grew up with. That age of, sure, the internet existed, but social media was still kind of in its infancy. I mean, I remember the MySpace days very well. And I always say that I sort of feel lucky that I wasn't a kid when all the social media stuff was happening, because I watch my nephews, and it's just like, oh, I can't imagine being in that kind of a headspace. I had enough issues coming out in the 90s, and being gay and everything, and my own sort of anxiety and depression with that and stuff. But to add social media onto that, oh my god. And this movie explores a lot of what that's like, to be kind of in that headspace, but also kind of dislike yourself in so many other aspects. Trying to be the funniest guy in the room and failing miserably. Trying to get the girl you like to notice you and failing miserably, or getting that shot with her and failing that. And so Didi goes through all of these types of things, and it all takes place over one summer. The very last scene is him, coming to high school and whatever. But it's largely the summer leading up to that, sort of getting in fights with your friends, and the stuff I mentioned with the girls and everything. And this kid really is, unfortunately, not a happy person, and he takes that out on a lot of people around him, including his mother. And we certainly see that. And it's a movie where the quote unquote hero, Didi, not to give away spoilers for the movie, but a lot of these movies end up, especially in the John Hughes camp, with, oh, the guy gets the girl, or the guy becomes what he wants to be, or whatever. And here, maybe some lessons have been learned, right? But it's not like Didi turns into a professional skater or something like that, by the end of the movie. It is very realistic, very down to earth. And at times this kid is hard to get behind. He can definitely be unlikable. Especially with some of the things he says and some of the things he does, to family members and whatnot. But Isaac Wang plays him perfectly. I mean, it's such a good performance. It's, another example of, I wish the Academy still did the Youth Award, because I think this is probably, if not the best, at least one of the best child performances I've seen this year. I mean, he's so good. And he carries the movie. I mean, he's in, I think, every scene. But, the way him and his mother sort of go back and forth with their relationship, and her, wanting to give him space, but also not wanting him to, put himself at risk of being in trouble, or whatever. There's a lot of things going on in this movie that I think work in its favor. I could say, in the negative column, that maybe it does seem a little bit vignette based, because, okay, he's doing this, and then, oh, okay, then he's in a fight with these friends, so now he's over here doing this and whatever. But I don't know. I mean, I think that rings true for a lot of people as well. And the other thing I could say is, yeah, this kid sometimes is certainly hard to get behind. But you feel for him. I did anyway. I've certainly, if not the same situations, because I didn't have social media, but it's interesting that, for a movie really so based and steeped in his heritage and his Asian background, I think it's so relatable. Sean Wang really made this a relatable movie for everybody, even though there is a lot of sort of culture specific stuff in it. And I think that's a success as well. So for me, this is another winner in the coming of age film list. I leave Didi with an A minus, and you can check this out now, like I said, on Peacock if you did miss it in theaters. All right, thank you so much for watching Dan Reviews It. I'll see you next time.